This Sunday, the third Sunday of Advent, as Father mentioned, is known as Gaudete Sunday. Gaudete is Latin for rejoice, and today we are called to rejoice joyfully in anticipation of the coming of Jesus into the world. We are in the liturgical season of Advent, waiting and rejoicing joyfully. Essentially, we are in the season of joy, and that's where things get a little difficult. Just like the crowds with their rhetorical questions to John the Baptist in today's Gospel, we too ask questions that they may not require an answer, at least not from the Lord this season. How should I decorate the house? Real tree or fake tree? White lights or coloured lights? Lights on the house or lights in the bushes? Turkey or ham? Or can we afford both? There's plenty of stress, a dash of disillusionment, and a credit card account that climbs steadily. So, where is the joy? Where is Christ in the midst of this disillusionment? Advent is a time where we prepare for the coming of Christ by way of his birth in a stable in Bethlehem. But that actual event took place, as we know, 2,000 years ago. Our Advent preparation is an acknowledgement of the event, because Jesus is already with us throughout the year, as Scripture clearly tells us. We read in Scripture, "Whatever you did for the least of these, you did for me." In other words, Jesus is present even in the least of us. "I am with you always until the close of the age." Although his physical presence has left us, spiritual, again we read, "Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst of them." Clearly, Christ is present with us here today at Mass. And finally, it is Christ who lives in me. St. Paul, in his letter to the Galatians, acknowledging that Christ is an integral part of him and of each one of us. This Advent, this Christmas season, and this Sunday of joyful rejoicing is a great opportunity to search for the Christ within each one of us and the Christ within others. Father George Smiga, a priest for the Archdiocese of Cleveland, offers a great story about the search for Christ in others and the effect it can have on all of us. Father writes, "There was a great monastery that had fallen on hard times. In the past, it had been populated by hundreds of devoted monks who were praying, working the fields, and serving the poor. But now, for a variety of reasons, the population of the monastery had dwindled until all that was left was the abbot and 3 monks. And they were all in their 70s, so clearly the life of this monastery was about to come to an end. In the woods near the monastery, there was a small hut where an old rabbi lived. He was known for his wisdom, and he spent his days as a hermit. The abbot thought there was nothing to lose in visiting the rabbi. Perhaps he could have some word of advice that could save the monastery. The rabbi welcomed the abbot warmly and listened to his story. Then the rabbi said, "I know only one thing about your monastery. God has revealed to me that the Messiah is one of you 4 that are left." The abbot was shocked. He returned to the monastery and told the other monks what the rabbi had said. They were filled with wonder. The Messiah is one of us here in the monastery. Immediately they began to debate who the Messiah could be. It must be the abbot. He's our leader, and he has wisdom and strength. Surely he is the Messiah. But then again, there's Brother Thomas. Not much of a personality, actually the personality of a rock, but he is a holy man, and we often see the love of God in him. It probably is not Brother Andrew. He is old, cranky, and intolerant. But then again, when we have to make a decision, he's usually right. As a matter of fact, he is almost always right. Maybe he's the Messiah. The only monk left was Brother Philip, and at first, no one thought he was the Messiah because he was passive, lazy, and he snored loudly each night. But then they realized that when the going got tough, he was always there to support them. A person they could turn to and know that he would always be there. So try as they might, the monks could not figure out who the Messiah would be. Therefore, they determined to wait until the Messiah was revealed. But as they waited, they changed. They changed because they were sure the Messiah was one of them. They began to treat one another with respect. They found themselves laughing more often, beginning the day with a certain joyous expectation that perhaps today might be the day that the Messiah is revealed. They started seeing glimpses of Christ in each one because that was exactly what they were looking for. The people who lived in the village close to the monastery noticed the change in the monks when they interacted with them. People started to come to Mass at the monastery and began seeking out the monks for spiritual direction. The word spread among their families and friends. Soon, the young people in the town started to consider joining the monastery. In a few years, that monastery was alive and thriving as ever. The joy of Christmas is discovering Christ, and Father Smiga suggests that Christ is present in everyone. In this season, the season of joy, the lights, the gift, the food, the stress really don't matter. It's up to each of us to search out and identify Him in the places and people where we think He doesn't exist. So, where or how do you start this search for Jesus each day? Or perhaps like the crowds who questioned John the Baptist today, you ask, what should I do? Well, Father suggests that you start your search with the most difficult part. He suggests that you start your search by looking in the mirror. Once you have found Christ there, finding Him in others will be quite easy.